India is an absolute hub for innovation. The fact that the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, is holding its event right here, it's fantastic. I mean, it's the first time that it's being held in the Asia-Pacific geography. India is where the action is. We have a saying at Amazon, at AWS, that says security is job zero, and it's true. The reality of it is these days, the cloud is all around us. Learning more about fundamental cloud computing principles is essential for any young person today. Over the last few years that we've been in India, we've trained more than 5.5 million people in India on cloud skills. The future is now. Go execute.
So Jayanth, this is your first experience in India Mobile Congress, is what I'm hoping so. So how was your first thought when you stepped in here? And be honest. Was it like, oh God, it's another boring event, I have to act up and be like, oh, I'm enjoying it? Or was it like, no, it's worth it?
It's day one, and I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. The energy in the room, the thousands of delegates, the vibrancy of the use cases and the discussions, I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. India is an absolute hub for innovation, and I think the level of innovation just comes across every corner that you walk in the conference. So right from the opening, from PM Modi's address, where he stated how 10 years ago he had a vision and India has made so much progress towards it, and you had all the telecom operator leaders there that were showcasing just how much progress has been made. I think it was absolutely phenomenal. The other one thing that I would say is the fact that the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, is holding its event right here in New Delhi.
It's a coincidental collaboration, which is good.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's the first time that it's being held in the Asia-Pacific geography, and it's being held in India. So I think it's a great testament to the fact that India is where the action is. I think the minister put it very well. He said in 4G, we were lagging behind the world. In 5G, we were with the world. In 6G, we're going to get ahead of the world. I love that.
That India followed the world in 4G. We marched with the world in 5G, but we shall lead the world in 6G.
I absolutely love that. I think it's going to summarize a lot of what we see in the next few days here.
How do you look at it, Jayanth? Okay, our Prime Minister did say that we are rolling fast, we have rolled out fast. What is the progress card that you give it to India? How realistically do you think we are progressing, and how do you define that, the progress for us?
Look, I think it's difficult to make, broad brush statement, but I'll just say in terms of a few vectors, right? One of them in terms of the overall development of the economy. There's a lot of people now who feel a lot more empowered in their lives compared to before. And I think being in the telecommunications industry, working for AWS, supporting a lot of these initiatives for the Indian enterprises has been absolutely a privilege, because we've seen how telecommunications has made a difference in people's lives. From a farmer who's sitting in rural India, who's able to check on pricing in markets hundreds of kilometers away, to a student who has aspirations to create a new application.
It has brought the world closer.
It has completely brought the world closer together. No longer does India need to operate in a silo. India is very much part of the world economy. I'll go a little bit further and say that India is actually a massive hub for innovation. So I think it's been phenomenal to see how the skills have developed.
Coming to the subject which you are very close to, is something we only understood cloud as something which gives us rain. You guys come with this cloud service and make it more relevant to us. How do you make it relevant to today's world? Because now you're talking about telecom being relevant, which is an old story. We have come closer with the use of telephonic services. Now we're coming to the cloud services. Where do we place ourselves with the cloud services that has come in the space?
You typically looked up to see the clouds, to use your rain example, but the reality of it is these days the cloud is all around us. It's invisible. But when you click on an app on your phone, there's a very good chance that the backend for that app is hosted in the cloud.
Yes.
The way to simplify this, for your audience, is that think of the cloud as, when you turn on a switch and you've got electricity that flows, the cloud is basically computing capacity on demand.
Okay.
And this basically means that the barriers to innovation for anybody are dramatically reduced now, because the cloud allows you to spin up a virtual instance, which is a computing resource, with the associated storage, with the associated ability to process data, and you're only then limited by your imagination.
Is it a limited storage that they provide, or is it unlimited storage that a cloud service can provide to anybody using the service? It is unlimited?
The benefit to the cloud, there's many different monetization models. The benefit to the cloud is you're only limited by the amount of resources that you require, right? And for the duration that you need it. Great example of this, IPL, right? If you were to run an IPL by yourself on your own premise, the amount of infrastructure that is required for those few days when the tournament's going on is massive. Think of it from a business owner's perspective. Would you build all that infrastructure just for a few days in a year? Or would you then spin up those instances in the cloud, use it exactly when you need it, and then turn all of them off when you don't need it and turn it on again when you need it?
It is a sustainable way of using someone.
Absolutely, I couldn't put it better than that. It is far more sustainable because you only use what you need and you use it for the duration that you require, and then after that you give it back to other people to use. So it's a lot more sustainable, it's a lot more usable, I guess, and you're only limited by your imagination.
One question I definitely have with cloud services before I can let you off from this very mini short podcast that we're doing is about the security. When it comes to cloud services, security comes hand in hand. That's how we see the data center infrastructure develop nowadays. So how much importance you've given to data security with cloud services coming together for people, especially with Amazon? How do they relate to the data security aspect of it?
We have a saying at Amazon, at AWS, that says security is job zero. And it's true. All of us put security above everything else. And we, when hundreds of millions of people around the world through the intermediary organizations trust us with their data and their processing needs, we can't afford not to take security seriously.
Yes.
So we are, we have public information available, but we have the ability to process data and we take security at rest, in flight, as well as in the cloud very, very seriously. So we have the maximum number of certifications from all the available entities around the world, including right here in India. We're empaneled in India to handle the most critical workloads, as we do around the world. And we have the trust of organizations and governments around the world to handle the most sensitive of data.
All the checkpoints have been cleared by you for us to trust you for the data security.
Absolutely, and we think that it is the right question to ask. And I think, Anku, a big part of this is education. Learning more about the cloud, learning more about fundamental cloud computing principles is essential for any young person today and for most professionals.
So they're
as
able
well.
to choose the right services and go to the right. They pick the right one to use and use the technology.
It's not just from a technology perspective, it's a way of computing these days because, as I said, literally every service that you're using at the moment likely has a backend in the cloud. And one of the things that I think is useful for you to know, over the last few years that we've been in India, we've trained more than 5.5 million people in India on cloud skills. And most of these courses...
How was the training process? Good?
Or
tough?
It is, well, the certification process is tough. It is fair, it's rigorous, but it's one that it requires you to invest effort. But most of our cloud trainings are for free and they're available online. So even to self-skill yourself or to upskill people for mid-career professionals, I'd highly recommend going and checking out the training courses.
I'm your first student now.
Absolutely.
So leave us with one thought with each word that I say. IMC 2024.
Vibrant.
Cloud services.
Scalable.
5G or 6G, the new wireless networking upgradations we are having. What is your first thought to this?
Speed.
Speed? Only speed?
You asked me to say one word. I've got lots more.
And technology and telecommunication.
Innovation.
Innovation. Thank you so much. It was real pleasure to have you with us. But there's so much you've left me with to research and then come back to you for a long podcast and read up more, take your classes, take the free services of education that you have, and we have a real good understanding next time on actually how this cloud services should be utilized. Again, the use case is what matters the most at the end.
Yeah.
So
happy to.
Leave us with a thought.
I think
that the youngsters should understand with telecommunication technology, itna phone use karte hum log. What should we do? Stop using it? Get to peace?
Look, I think the tagline of this conference is what I'm going to leave you with. The future is now. And I think it is very relevant. I was very happy when I saw that, in fact, because it's true. The reality of it is you can kind of bemoan lack of access to technology, but it's not true. It is so easy these days. The barriers to entry to creating new applications, to creating new services is so low. There's nothing stopping you except for your imagination. You can literally fire up services and you can create new services. So the future truly is now. Go execute.
Thank you so much, Jayanth. It was a pleasure having you.
Pleasure.